Hello, everybody. Welcome to the program. It's the Homestand Show right here on the Homestand YouTube channel. Justin Pooni, Sarah Pariah, Albert Vartanian here with you. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going Messi. We're going Canada soccer, Jays, Austin Reaves, the Raptors, and the return of slam ball. You guys ever watch slam ball?
Yeah, when I was a kid.
You remember slam ball? No, you have no idea.
Yeah. It looks so fun, though.
It's so fun.
We
should checking,
we should do that as like a outing at work. Play a slam ball.
We can't do that.
Oh my God, why?
You
it was so much fun.
1v1, body checking allowed against the Poon man over here?
No, we'll make it a bit safer, but it'll just be so fun.
You know what?
Yeah, let's do it.
I might put my money on you to go through him, though.
No, she got
She's got
like a temper and a competitiveness that I kind of feel like.
Just wait. After about the second minute, this guy will be gassed.
Oh yeah?
Oh, you can fold it over like dirty laundry, Justin.
Let's go one-on-one. You want to go one-on-one with the great one?
We'll do it live.
One-on-one with the great one. Let's do it.
You don't want the smoke.
One-on-one with the great one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You don't want the smoke, dude.
I want all the smoke.
Austin Reaves
and we're going to play a clip
smoke.
from all the smoke later on in the show.
You don't want the smoke, man.
I do.
I'm
not scared of you.
I'm not.
You talk a big game, bro.
I'm not trying to scare you. But the guys who
just make sure you wear
scared, right?
Make sure you wear your jorts to that when we play.
No, we're not talking about my jorts right now. Let me do a quick update on the Open that's going on right now. So the projected cut's at +3, I believe. At the moment, the leader, Brian Harman, he shot 65 today, eagled 18. He's 10 under. Your boy, Fairway Jesus, currently T2, Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Sepp Straka, T3. I bet on 150 to 1. So if he wins, they make a lot of money. So let's hope that happens. As I mentioned, the projected cut is +3. Scotty Scheffler was +700 to win this thing. It's 4 over with 1 to go. He needs a birdie on 18, so we'll keep you updated on that. Hasn't missed a cut since August of 22. Just
for the Canadian content out there, Corey Connors is +2 right now, sitting on the cut line, so he looks like he'll be playing weekend golf as well. No Justin Thomas, though.
Yeah, look at this. Morikawa, cut. Cam Smith, champion, cut. Justin Rose, cut. Justin Thomas, 11 over.
Matthew Fitzpatrick, he's battling right now.
How about Sean McCormick putting the kiss of death on Dustin Johnson, shooting 13 over, bro?
Yeah,
13 over. Dustin Johnson.
That's tough.
He's gonzo. Yeah, so not a good day for some of these notable golfers. Not a good day or good night last night, probably today as well for Canada's women's team. Drawing 0-0 against Nigeria. Such a complete missed opportunity by them. Yeah. And that's no disrespect to Nigeria, by the way, who I thought, they were pretty good.
Yeah.
Me and you talked about it earlier today on the Parlay Show. But Canada needed to win this game. Now they go into that game against Ireland on Wednesday is now an absolute must-win.
Yeah, they got to win against Ireland. And Ireland looked good against Australia. Super aggressive team. I told you, really quick to the ball.
You called it.
And one of the things that I had an issue with Canada last night, everyone's talking about this narrative where the goal's going to come from. How about your first touch? It was messy. They were slow to the ball, and their first touch was not good. There are rumors going around. I thought you brought this up about somebody tweeting about the fact that
it's not on the players, it's on the federation.
My dad actually said the same thing. That's so funny.
Really?
He goes, honestly, I feel like this is not the same team I watched when they won the Olympics, and everything that's been going on with the federation. We won't get into it, but you already know. But I wonder if that is somehow translating to them performing on the pitch.
Okay.
Because a lot of these ladies are the same ones that won a gold medal. They're talented. We know that. But they didn't look good.
I will say that I understand the excuse for the federation, but it's kind of low-hanging fruit because they've been in the news for so many months already. But these are professionals, right? You have to set that all aside. This is the biggest stage in women's soccer, right? This is your opening match. And to come out flat, to come out it did not look good. And I feel that that's something that's inexcusable. That's on the players. You could say whatever you want about the federation and stuff like that, but this comes back onto the players.
The argument there is that they don't want to represent their nation. They don't want to represent Canada soccer. That's the thing. No, but that's how I would interpret it. I'm obviously not in that situation, but I know what you're saying. They're professionals. They have to, but maybe they're not happy to be there. There were rumors they weren't going to get on the plane to Australia a couple days ago. Totally. But I'm just saying, I think there's a lot more going on behind closed doors and we don't know about it. All I will say is that I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, the fact that it was the first game of the World Cup. Your opening match doesn't always go well, so it's time to bounce back hard against a really solid Irish team who's there for the first time in their World Cup.
And they didn't lose, and they kept a clean sheet, so there are some positives. But I do believe that this issue with Canada soccer is looming over this team. Christine Sinclair said the exact same thing during the She Believes Cup.
Yeah.
She just felt it. They were zapped of energy, exhausted. Listen, in any walk of life, I know they're playing soccer and it's a dream gig, but it's still a job and you need to get paid appropriately for what you're doing. So I understand where they're coming from. And if you're putting energy in multiple different ways, they're putting energy in fighting this thing against the CSB and Canada Soccer. They're putting all their energy into training and trying to figure out how to win games. They're going to get zapped, and one thing is going to fall off. And it seems like right now the performances aren't great. We should also say, injuries are playing a huge factor. No Jessie Fleming, who's probably, outside of Sinclair, their best player.
Yeah. But it looks like she wasn't included in the squad, but she's obviously there in Australia. Something going on with her calf there. But I'd say as long as things go well, she'll be back on Wednesday for that game against Ireland, which I really think they need help in the middle there. We talked about issues with Jordan Heidema missing some opportunities. Julia Grosso as well, like unable to create opportunities there. And they need someone in the middle that's going to open up that space, and that is Jessie Fleming.
Okay, I hate doing this, but I always ask you a prediction. They're going to win the game? Minus 250 favorites.
But here's they have to travel almost 3,000 kilometers.
Yeah, across country.
Right, they got to travel across the country,
right?
And that's going to play a factor.
But everybody's dealing with the same thing.
It's true. But had they won last night, it would have given them some leeway going forward. Now you have to win a game. Right, and you now have to go again against the Ireland team that played very well, and Australia who looked really, really good without their best player. So the pressure is now on, and something about Canada's best players, both on the women's side and the men's side, missing penalties in the World Cup.
Okay, let's not compare the women's team to the men's team, because the women's team actually wins
I'm not comparing. I'm just comparing the instances.
Yeah, you brought it up.
Totally.
You're going to have to face the fire.
Listen, I said this to you, though, earlier on the Parlay Show, but the penalty is like the least of my concerns. Players miss penalties.
Yes, for sure.
The Nigerian goalie got big. Like, that was a massive save for her.
Save.
Was that a better save because I saw people online, but saying that was a bad take by Sinclair.
I thought the pen was kind of weak.
The pen was weak, but Ndozi got big. Like, she extended her arms a different, it was great.
Yeah.
But honestly, Canada need to win against Ireland. I don't know. The odds are in their favor, but listen, the odds were heavily in their favor against Nigeria. So they got to go and they got to win. And if you thought Nigeria were aggressive against Canada, I'm betting you Ireland's going to be way more aggressive.
And you mentioned this to me all the time, so I feel like I need to say it. Saudi Arabia beat Argentina in the World Cup.
Yes. Switzerland beat Spain.
Yes. Canada didn't lose.
Yeah.
Still kept a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Defense is looking good. Have a point. Go to Ireland.
Stay
in Australia.
Go to Ireland.
Play Ireland and pick up a couple points here.
Well, we'll see.
It's tournament style football.
It is. Anything happens.
You gotta whatever happened yesterday, brush it off next game.
Yeah, I'm in. Let's go, Canada. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pooni's shutting it down.
I'm not shutting it down.
Yeah, you're shutting it down.
I'm not shutting it down. What I'm saying is this: I need to see a good performance. This team has
the only thing you care about is what
in their
Alfonso Davies is doing off of the pitch.
Woo!
This guy showed you a TikTok what he's doing off the pitch. It's off. He's enjoying his time off. That's fine.
Yeah,
right. But look, this women's side has one win in their last 5 matches. Right, they've not been informed. We need to see them put together a strong performance for a full.
They need it more than anyone else.
Than anybody else in the world. They need to put a strong 90 minutes together. And until we see that, there is going to be some doubt there, right?
100%. I mean, they already were. They had doubts going, and they didn't have doubts. People had doubts about Canada going into this tournament already. So they got to get what's James always say, the monkey off the back?
Yeah, they got to get the monkey off their back. Shoot the monkey. PETA, don't come after me. I'm just joking around. The no official nicknames, need to figure it out. Do you know who that is?
Yes.
That is Canada. Ellie, if you can pull up the tweet from Fox Soccer. So FIFA put this out. Fox Soccer,
this is insane.
I think, posted a graphic here.
No official.
So these are nicknames of all of the countries that are in the Women's World Cup. And if you look at Canada there, they have a no official nickname.
So, sorry, you actually said off air that this was FIFA. Look at the bottom. It's Fox. It's not a FIFA graphic. It's a Fox graphic. Fox Soccer notorious for making mistakes, man.
I think if you go to the FIFA website, I'm pretty sure the nicknames are there. Yes.
All right, maybe I'm coming
I think
Fox
that's where they got that from. We need a fact check.
You yelled at me yesterday saying, no, they have a nickname. It's Les Rouges. It's Les Rouges.
It is, though, but it's so wild to me that, we're talking about one of the best teams in the world.
You can put it back up, Ellie. Yeah.
Canada's been a top 10 team for the last 20 years, and you guys don't even know that their nickname is Les Rouges. This is just, honestly, ignorant, and clearly you just didn't do your research.
Well, either way, let's look at some of these. Okay, the state Stars and Stripes. Come on, that's not a nickname. What about the football furniture? The football girls for Norway?
You like my... No. The best one is Colombia. Las cafeteras. They're the coffee makers, guys.
I love that.
So much.
And look, the Filipinos or the Filipinas.
Yeah.
Like
Ireland is girls in green.
I mean, it's kind of weird though to me because you have some like, okay, look at Italy, Lezzure, Spain, La Roja, Albiceleste, Seleção. They should be the same
China's
names
the
as
Steel
the
Roses.
guys.
I agree.
We're representing the same. It's the same nation.
You
La
represent the
Roja
country.
is La Roja.
Yeah.
It's Spain.
Because
what are we doing?
Nigeria,
La Roja, carajo.
because the Nigerian men are the screaming eagles.
The Super Eagles.
Super Eagles,
Why
yeah.
are they a different bird? Ellie, you gotta stop yelling at me.
Ellie,
I'm so
please.
sorry.
The reggae girls, I like the reggae girls.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, they've actually changed the Canada women's soccer account on Twitter to no official nickname.
That's
just
funny.
roll with it.
Well, they should
Yeah.
just
It's a
roll with
bad
it.
nickname, but it's actually a cool nickname.
Roll with it.
Yeah, I
Roll
think
with
it's
it.
funny that they made fun of it. But I mean, yeah, Les Rouges, like it's been the nickname. Like
You gotta
I don't know.
perform. You gotta perform. Who cares what the nickname? They have to perform.
Yeah.
That's it. Who cares?
Okay.
You play to win the
The game. You know who also plays to win the game? He wins a lot of things. His name is Lionel Messi. Expected to debut tonight for Inter Miami. The expectation, though, I think, is to come off the bench against Cruz Azul. Not in an MLS match, but a Leagues Cup match. In 2019, Cruz Azul won the inaugural Leagues Cup tournament. What did I say?
No.
I had a
Inaugural.
it was my lunch. I had a gurgle. Inaugural. Leagues Cup in 2019.
Look
how
at
excited are you,
that.
dude? Oh, yeah, this
Yeah,
is
I
Messi
know.
signing his contract
Look at
with
the
Inter
smirk
Miami.
on Bex's face.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
there.
Vex is like, I'm making it rain.
All right, Sarah, tell me about your excitement.
Listen,
here.
I'm so excited. 8 p.m. tonight. Catch me inside with the snacks, with the pizza. I'm so ready for this game.
You're doing pizza and football? That's what you eat?
I'm literally. It's a Friday night.
It's a Friday night. Why are you coming at it for that?
I just want
No,
to
I'm not.
It
I just
easy.
I know what she eats. She's like octopus, ceviche, like top
you know
class.
what? I'm tired. I don't want to cook. That's where my
Okay.
mind's at. And I have a bunch to do, so I'm gonna just order some takeaway, sit in front of the TV all night, watch Messi, flick over to the U.S. Vietnam game later on as well. But I'm so excited to see Messi play with Sergio Busquets. Like for me as a Barca fan,
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking forward to. Like the Leagues Cup is great.
She is speechless, ladies and
But
gentlemen.
I'm here for Cruz.
I never
for
thought
Messi and
I never
Busquets.
thought there'd be the day where I'd be sitting beside Sarah Pereira talking about how excited she is to watch an MLS team play on a Friday night. That has never happened,
Never
but it's
happened
happening.
before.
Messi can make anything
Busquets,
happen.
Jordi Alba will be there. He's probably not going to play. Inter Miami also linked with Andres
Andres
Iniesta,
And Luis
also
Suarez.
linked with
Luis Suarez, Luisito.
also linked with Pele, also linked with Johan Cruyff.
Also, Maradona from above.
Oh my God. Like the Iniesta thing is real.
No, I would die for this. Like I'm
He's so old.
excited. It's MLS.
Just-
It doesn't matter.
He's so old.
It doesn't matter, man.
I mean, if they're offering him the bag, might as well take
Iniesta
it and
would
play.
dance at MLS too. He wouldn't have to do too much moving. Just crazy. Yeah, no, I think this is hilarious, and I'm just here for it as a Barca fan. Listen, like you think about in football, you have your team, you have your eras of glory, and you know when it ends, it's so sad because you're never going to see it again. It brought you so much joy. Now they're making it happen again. Granted, it's not going to be the same team in the sense of they're not in their prime, but to be able as a Barca fan to see all these guys play together again, I'll take it. This is amazing.
So the report, this is according to Forbes. I don't know where they got this from, but Iniesta reportedly
Forbes is
agrees
breaking soccer
with- well, Forbes has some great sports articles.
Yeah, they have great articles.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, they're into
Well, they
news
probably took a
breaking.
tweet from somewhere. I want to read it, but I got to pay $50 to read the article. I don't know
that's
what
not
we're
worth
doing
it.
here. But apparently he's agreed.
Yeah, Messi
So-
probably made a copy. I'm like, listen, Andres, Miami's so nice.
It's so nice.
It's
You
so
can go
nice.
shopping and nobody
we don't have
bothers
to
you.
play super hard. Like,
Well, Messi, yeah, I said expected to play tonight, probably coming off the bench. According to the books, Inter Miami is favored. But how about Messi to score is like minus 150?
it's wild. Like they know if Messi scores in the first, it's gonna be bananas in Miami.
Yeah.
Carnival
But
tonight.
sold out apparently 21,000.
Of course,
In
it's
Miami.
Tickets are like $234 right now. Last
yeah.
time I
Right
checked.
now
You know
they
what?
drop.
I'm not big on getting ripped off for tickets.
Ugh.
But if I was there and someone's like $250 for the ticket,
Yeah,
I'll buy it. Yeah.
they were way more. Do you remember we were looking
Yeah,
at
they're
them
like
a week ago?
14,
Yeah, they were like over a grand.
1,300 or
But now
whatever.
they've dropped. I don't know how they didn't. Whatever.
I don't know. Is the weather supposed to be like rainy in Miami
I'll
tonight?
go in the rain. I'll go in the
I don't know.
snow.
But you know,
man.
Americans, that plays into their, their opinion on whether they want to go to games or not. If it's not the NFL, why would they go?
Does it actually?
Yeah.
You live in
According to
Miami, though.
who?
It's never cold.
According to me.
Do you have statistics on this?
No, I'm just pulling shit out of my ass, and maybe it'll stick.
Clearly. Okay, let's transition from footy. Let's talk some F1 because Sarah Pryor's definitely tapped in. My whole thing is the Hungarian Grand Prix is this weekend. The expectation, once again, is Max Verstappen, who's heavily favored to win. Will he win?
Yeah.
12th?
There's
It'd be the 12th in a row for Red Bull, which is a record.
Yeah, he's literally won 10 of the 11 that
10
have
of
happened
11,
so
yes.
far. Checo obviously winning that other one. But Checo crashing out in FP1 today in Hungary. Checo is having a really bad couple weeks. He hasn't been performing. And the storyline here, it's not Max Verstappen. We all know he's probably going to win. But Danny Ricciardo is
He's back.
He's back.
racing for AlphaTauri alongside Yuki Tsunoda. But because Ricciardo used to be at Red Bull, and then came along Checo. And it's interesting now, Checo came out earlier this week and said, the future lies in my hands. I have to perform this weekend. And then goes out crashing in FP1. The weak Danny Ricciardo comes back. Storylines in F1, we're never short of them. I know the Verstappen stuff is a little bit boring, but that's what's exciting to me. I'm curious to see how Checo does this weekend. I'm curious to see how Danny Ricciardo does this weekend. And keep your eyes out for Mercedes. They are climbing up that constructors. Lewis Hamilton podiuming 2 weeks ago at Silverstone. But George Russell, absolutely fantastic.
I love that you brought that up, 18-1 to win the race. But you're saying podium instead. So podium finish for George Russell plus 330.
Hey,
That's
I
not
like
bad.
it.
Dude, I'll sprinkle.
Sprink.
What do you think? You going to watch the race this weekend?
What time's the race at?
It'll be Sunday probably at 9 a.m.
You're not watching it.
No.
No?
I'll catch the highlights.
I'll have it on. I'll have the
I
open
like
on.
when
It's a
they're
good
on
weekend
early
for
in the
sports.
morning because you can get it done and then you can go and have the rest of your day outdoors, summertime here.
I'll be sleeping.
Oh,
Dude,
no.
you get the open going on in the morning, final round.
Yeah.
You got this going on. What do you
9
mean
a.m.?
sleeping?
Good thing for a PVR.
What are you doing Saturday night?
We'll wait and see.
Do you? Okay, wait. Can I ask a question about PVRing sports? I
Right.
can't do it. Like it. I hate watching something.
So the only
It depends on the event.
the only sport that I PVR watch back is Tottenham. If I miss a game,
If
Yeah.
you miss a
I'll go
Tottenham
back
game.
and watch the game, and
Yeah.
we'll avoid the
You
score all
have
day.
to. You
Yeah.
have to get.
I'll
off your
text
phone.
people, be like, listen, I'm
No.
not watching the game today.
Phone is on
You're not telling
straight
me.
do not disturb
Yeah.
because if you miss someone and someone, especially because they know you're a
Yeah.
big Tottenham fan, if something crazy happens, oh look what happened.
And it's so annoying because people don't realize what a commitment it is to go home at like 9 o'clock at night and rewatch a 90-minute football game.
it's so
It's so-
hard.
And it's not the same because
No.
you know it's done.
Exactly. And also, if you're ever like live tweeting and stuff too, it's just complete. You can't do it, right? So when
Right.
it's so, I really hate watching sports.
Actually, when Tottenham play, I avoid Twitter.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't want
Really?
because everyone's negative.
I don't know.
It's all negative.
I like when I'm watching, whether it's the Canucks, Seahawks, whatever team I do. I like being on Twitter too because I like to see the dialogue going on. I like to,
You know what it does for me though, because I care about Tottenham so much. It's if I read something, it'll change my view of that game, and I'll be watching for whatever that person just said.
Yeah, that's true.
so
I don't
true.
like that.
I,
You don't wanna
I
be skewed.
usually don't live tweet during Barca games because I just don't like having any. Like I like my focus to be 100% on
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah.
I put my phone on do not disturb. Don't text me. Like
Yeah.
I'm here. But the things like Formula One because it's obviously really long. Like it's a couple hours. I'll be live tweeting when stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can chill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it depends on the event
Depends.
too.
Like
many laps.
60 to 75.
I make it like 20. Just a couple right across the line. Okay, Sarah, we're going to kick you out right now.
All
But coming
right.
up after this mini break, we're going to talk about Austin Reaves, who decided not to be drafted to go where he wanted to go. So we'll talk about that and what it means for the Raptors. Stars, younger players, does anyone actually want to come to Toronto? We'll talk about it. Me, Justin, and Noor coming up after the break. welcome back to the show. It was a lively first block with Sarah Pereira and Justin Pooni talking some footy. Inter Miami, F1. Now we bring in Noor Zainab to talk some basketball.
It's about to get lethal.
How you doing,
It's
man?
about to be
I
a
know
fight.
you. I already heard you guys in the pre-production meeting going back and forth.
I heard what's going to go down today, so I came with no notes. I got nothing prepared. It's going to be all
I
right
love
at
this.
the head
Wow,
and
that's
then
kind of
vengeance.
that's pretty familiar.
What does that mean?
I'm not saying anything. But
Hey, man, be nice, man.
yeah,
This doesn't know how to be nice. It's not his
go.
vocabulary.
Oh, let's go, he says.
Go.
Okay, let me go through some stuff before we get there.
sure.
Welcome back to the Homestand Show. We're live here Monday to Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment as well. Let us know what you think about the show. Let us know what you think about this debate that's about to go down between Noor Zainab and Justin Pooni about the
TLC like is the
Raptors.
heavy fight of the world.
It is.
It
This
is.
is-
We
this
need
is
a
a big
cage
bout,
match in
dude.
here,
This is
TLC
the-
style.
The
This is
tail of
insane.
the tape is up, and the bout is about to go down. Also, follow us on Twitter at The Homestand. And if you're listening on the podcast, hello to everybody. How you doing?
Well, they can't
Podcast
see you
line.
when you wave because the podcast.
I know, but I'm saying hello. So
just-
I'm doing the
okay.
double take here.
Okay.
All right. Austin Reaves of the Los Angeles Lakers was on All the Smoke podcast, and he had some things to say, Justin Pooni, about
He did.
deciding not to be drafted and going with the team that was the best fit for him. So here's the clip.
We could have got drafted 42nd to Detroit, but kind of declined that to kind of put me in LA for a better spot. And so basically, we tiered teams, best fit for me. And LA was, I think, 2 on the list at the time. Milwaukee might have been 1, but they were tier 1. And I think Detroit called.
That shouldn't be on nobody's tier.
If we're being honest.
Well, listen, you know what? Good for him. He knew exactly what he wanted. Goes undrafted, ends up signing a 4-year contract worth a reported $56 million.
$6 million.
Now, we talk a lot about bet on yourself. FVV, who did the same thing and went to Houston and got like the ultimate bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, players have the type of power like that. Well, it's not really power; it's more belief in themselves. But the power to believe, like, listen, I don't want to go to this team. I can make it somewhere
Yeah.
else, and here's where I go.
He said it himself. He teased Fred VanVleet, Austin Reaves, prime examples of betting on themselves.
Yep.
He decided, and look, a couple years ago, the Detroit Pistons were, a shit show. And they still are a shit show, but they have Monty Williams now leading the charge. And quite frankly, they could not be a shit show anymore. But at that particular time, they were a team in flux. And he decided, you know what, I'm going to bet on myself. Go to a situation where I can play with a guy, I know your favorite player of all time, LeBron James, who, and Anthony Davis, to go to a system like that with the Los
Hold on, is
Angeles.
that actually your favorite player of all time?
What do you think? No.
Okay, never mind.
Sarcasm, bro.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
anyway.
people maybe not know that.
They should know. If they follow Noor on Twitter, they should know that she loves to hate LeBron James.
I've never said that. My only issue is the fact that you bring him up for every single conversation. There's no need. But sorry, continue.
Anyway, look, Austin Reaves bet on himself. It worked. And sometimes that's the best thing to do. Put yourself in a situation where you're going to succeed. We see a lot of top performing draft picks, a lot of first round picks that go to shitty situations and they're expected to do so much. Look at Andrew Wiggins, right? He was placed, well, of course, he went to draft by Cleveland, but then traded to Minnesota, expected to be the savior. Anthony Bennett, expected to be the savior in Minnesota.
Boy.
And it's a lot of pressure. If the organization has no structure, has no foundation, no stability, young people are not going to succeed in that. And Austin Reaves, explained that I'd rather go to an organization with more stability, more structure than the Detroit Pistons, and it paid off for him in a big, big way.
But if you're 42nd, what's the pressure on you if you're going to be the Pistons?
But when you're 42nd, you can just get lost in the shuffle, and then you may never be able to develop. You might never be able to be in a situation where they believe in you.
But
their
there's
player
no
development.
expectation on you, right? Like we actually had
There's
this
no expectation
conversation.
when you're undrafted either.
Facts. But we had this convo yesterday with like Albert, Sarah, and James and I, where it was like, if you were drafted as an NBA player, right? As an NBA draft, you're number 1. Do you pick to go to a team that you get to call the reins? You have the reins. It's your team now. So you're going to be the breakout star. You will be what the offense runs after. And you will also be the one that they market everything for, right? Or do you go to a team, you're going to be maybe the 3rd or 4th best player, but you learn so much. And I think that's what he did. Like he could have gone to Detroit and been a big part of that team, but he chose to go to the Lakers, chose to work his way up to the point where he was trusted by that locker room, by those players, by LeBron James, and now he's making that bag.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at like the 2nd round pick undrafted, especially in the NBA, because not a lot of draft picks even hit in the NBA. First round picks or 2nd round picks are, other than Draymond Green, Manu, there's not a whole lot of guys that are taken in the 2nd round that actually amount to anything. So when you're undrafted, right, again, there's no expectations, but he's in a situation where maybe the player development side was a lot better in LA than Detroit.
No,
right?
I really like the fact that he tiered the teams. 'Cause
Yeah,
I feel
and
like
that's what you
sometimes
should
you don't get to hear about how the players got to the place that they did to, because you don't get to hear about what the thinking plan was, what they wanted to do, like what they thought would have been the best choice for them. But the fact that he tiered those teams to not just where he would be the guy, but where he would succeed. That's a big part.
exactly.
I like that about him.
Yeah, the Lakers are number 2 on his list, only behind the
Bucks.
Milwaukee
Milwaukee.
Bucks. But listen, players are starting to realize, like, we don't have to go where you want me to go. I want to
control
go
my
where
own
I
narrative,
want to
yeah.
go, and that's not always going to happen. Listen, if you're a guy like Wemby, and the San Antonio Spurs want to draft you, and it's Greg Popovich, and it's kind of like a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I wonder if it was a team like Detroit, or I don't know, another franchise, a floundering franchise, if a number 1 pick would say, no, I'm not going there.
I think with the number 1 pick, it's a little bit different because there's so much there's more guaranteed money involved, right? Where it's kind of like you kind of have to go there, right? But whereas when you're a 2nd-round pick or when you're undrafted, like the money's less, right? When you're a 1st-round lottery pick, you're gonna get more guaranteed dollars. You're gonna get more contract stability. So you just kind of go where you have to go, and then you see it. You go where you go. You sign the first RFA extension, and then after that, you can decide to figure out your way, whether that's via trade or free agency, right? A lot of players now do the blueprints kind of. You get drafted, you finish a rookie contract, you sign the extension with the same team, maximize the amount of dollars you have, and then you can request a trade somewhere else, or you sign someone else via free agency. So I think that's kind of how it works in the NBA. But with 1st-round picks, with 2nd-round picks, undrafted guys, I can definitely start seeing now players being like, you know what, I'm going to be like the 42nd, 44th pick. Forget it. I'd rather just sign somewhere as an undrafted free agent and hedge my bets that way, because I feel like that's going to be the best situation for me. But we'll see what happens.
And we got that firsthand with Fred VanVleet,
Absolutely.
right? So
Yeah, and the Raptors milked every bit of potential out of Fred.
They did.
And that's no disrespect to Fred. Fred, made the most of himself. But the
Yeah.
Raptors, they got, literally, all bang for their buck.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, he walked away, which kind of burns the Raptors, and which leads me into our
That was
conversation
their
about the
own fault.
Raptors.
Yeah.
They still, as of right now, unless you guys have heard anything else, have zero direction in where they're going. We don't know what's happening with Siakam. OG, is Pirtle still going to be here?
Well,
he
he has to
signed
be
on,
here.
so he's gonna be here. But he could be traded.
Chris,
we don't know.
He can't be traded
that's what I
till
mean.
next year.
Yeah.
But could Chris Boucher still be around? Like,
Yeah.
we
don't know what
this
direction
team
the
is
Raptors
gonna,
are going.
be.
Are they going up or down? Do they want to be contenders, pretenders? Do they want to go tank and for the draft?
are
But
pretenders.
you have a guy like Austin Reaves who says, no, I don't want to go to the Pistons or any other of those teams. I have my list. If you look at the Raptors as a destination, we already know it's difficult to get stars to come over here. No one wants to come play for the Toronto Raptors unless it's via trade. Because even Kawhi really didn't want to come here, but
He did not.
They made it work.
They made it work.
Do we now throw rookies and young stars into that same pool of players who don't want to come to Toronto?
I don't think so, because I think Grady Dick was pretty vocal about the fact that he liked the Toronto Raptors development staff. He liked the fact that they have a good reputation around the league about the fact that they are good at building their young players up and getting them to a point where they can be starters one day. So I think around the league, the development aspect of the Raptors is pretty much on par with the Spurs, because they realize it's true. Justin, don't make that face. It's true. They realize that the Spurs and the Raptors develop very well within what you've got. So all the rookies that are coming up understand that. The only thing is, do you want to come to Canada? That's, I think, is the main factor, where when they come here, it's a little bit of a different lifestyle. They have to go through customs. It's a little bit more tax. It's different, channels,
It's cold in
different
Boston and New York.
food.
Different
yeah,
cereal.
it's cold everywhere, but it's just a
Different cereal you get up here?
But it's the only city that's not in the States. So it holds different value in the NBA. That's, I think, the only factor there, because I don't believe that players don't want to come here. Maybe they don't want to come here off the bat, but once they're here, they want to stay here. There's so many players that have stayed here and wanted to retain their longevity in
But
Toronto.
Let me ask you that. So if we're talking about like DeRozan, Lowry, now Siakam, right? Could the reason be they want to stay here is because they can get the most amount of money from the Raptors?
Well, let's
right?
not forget, Lowry wanted to leave.
He did want to leave.
For a long
He was
time.
about to leave. He was about to
For
go to
a
the
very
Knicks,
long
right?
time. Even when he first got here,
Exactly. He was about to go to the Knicks, right? And I think
But then he stayed. and
He
won a
stayed, but
championship.
they had a good year that the 2014 season. He was able to sign that extension, right?
But
And-
Lowry also, his record was like he was jumping teams, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
he
He was
wasn't
the team.
someone that teams thought that
Right.
we could keep him in our locker room.
Exactly.
Toronto showed a different side of Lowry where you were like, oh, he could be a leader, he could be a point guard, he could be the leading point guard. So when he saw that this was his own team, I think matters changed. DeRozan came in the picture as well, and they became a duo. And then after that, they became a team, which we know ended up getting the second most wins in the NBA for the last 10 years. So
And got LeBron
you
twice.
created. Is this the time? Is this the
That-
time?
I don't even know what you just said. What
I
did you
said
say?
they got
Brought up
LeBron
LeBron to Albert. What do you
twice.
think?
Okay,
What do you
I don't think
think?
so.
No,
Jesus
okay,
Christ.
I agree with that. So
Jesus Christ.
when you look at the landscape of the Toronto Raptors and their history, right?
Right.
Second
Marcus
best net
Camby,
rating
left.
team in the league.
Damon Stoudemire left. T-Mac left. Carter
was-
left.
when
Bosch
was that
left,
happening?
Right? Then you have DeRozan and Lowry stayed, right? But because why? At that point in time, the CBA and the NBA changed where it motivated teams to keep their players that they drafted or own the bird
Or
rights too.
because you were good in
Hold
the
on,
league.
hold
You were
on,
leading
hold
the
on,
Eastern
hold on. Wait,
Conference
let me-
every single year.
let me-
You were the
let
second
me-
best net rating team in the NBA. What are you talking about?
okay.
Okay, yes, it's a
Let me
big
finish what I
factor
was
about
about
the
to say.
CBA.
Can I finish what I was about to say?
You're wrong, but okay.
Okay.
Continue.
During that time, the CBA came because the whole LeBron made his change his decision, go to Miami. At that point in time, the NBA influenced the rule to make sure teams can keep their own players, and that's what the Lowry and DeRozan did. They
Oh,
had
that's why
Hold
they
on.
stayed, because they put it in the
Can
contracts,
I finish
guys.
what I was about to say?
They put it in the
Can I
contracts.
finish what I was about to say?
No.
They did a great stuff on the court in the regular season. Absolutely put this franchise to levels it had never been before.
Don't say
and
it. Don't say
because
it.
of that, right, they became all-stars. They were able to get max contracts, more money that they were going to get in Toronto than anywhere else, right? That's part of the reason why that's part of the reason why Pascal Siakam is so adamant in staying in Toronto, because he knows he can get the most amount of money in Toronto.
So
No one
great
else will pay him.
business
And
decision.
nobody else is gonna pay him.
So, but great business decision,
Right.
because you think you will get paid the most in Toronto.
Yes.
So you will tank every value that you have for any other team in the league, where Toronto might not even pay you that. So really, you could take a bigger hit and not take more money, where Toronto could say, no, I don't want to pay you. And then because the other teams are like, well, you're a liability right now because you said I want to be in Toronto.
It's a players'
but that's
league, though.
not. But I don't think that's the factor, though. I don't think it's
the
just
Raptors
money
don't want
involved.
to lose Siakam for nothing, right? So if at worst comes to worst, they're gonna have to sign him to an extension if he doesn't.
But if you're
he's flat
saying-
out said, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not going to resign anywhere but Toronto.
But if you're saying that he's going to stay here just for the mere fact of money, that's a plus, but that's not the whole reason. That's not the whole reason. It's a good business decision is not to go out there and tank your value throughout the NBA. That's what he's doing.
That's what he's doing. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
listen,
that's
I
not the
wouldn't be
right
surprised
one.
if
But-
he walked either. If
and here's
Fred
the other thing,
walked
too.
for free, there's no reason to think that Siakam wouldn't walk
And when we
either.
talk about destinations, right? We always hear about free agents meeting with certain teams and stuff like that, right? The Toronto Raptors have never, other than Kawhi Leonard, who they had, right? They've never really been at the meeting table. You know, the Knicks are always at the meeting table with
I'm
free
pretty
agents,
sure they
right?
had something going on with Giannis, but sorry, continue.
Giannis they never had a meeting.
But
because
Giannis is a
was
different.
never
He's a different
free
breed,
agent,
though.
He was never a free agent.
I'm pretty.
That's
really?
tampering.
When Fred's contract was coming about that time, and he had a dip in his salary in the third year, I'm pretty sure they thought that Giannis was going to come to Toronto. That was the
They
whole
thought,
basis.
but nobody. They never
Giannis is a
formally
different
met. I'm talking
breed,
about formal
though.
meetings, though.
But
They
we
never
don't
had a
know. Justin,
formal
do you know
meeting.
that? Did you have a talk with Masai yesterday? Did you know that the formal meetings? We have no idea about that. We don't know.
Check the internet. Read up. I think they had a
quickly,
interview. with
let's rank like destinations in the East, because I'm looking at Milwaukee, Boston, Philadelphia, New York, Brooklyn, Miami, Chicago, Indiana, maybe even Orlando above Toronto.
Orlando, really.
Yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah.
players look at Toronto in terms of teams in the East that they'd want to go to, probably near the bottom.
It definitely is near the bottom of the Eastern Conference for sure.
And it's a problem Toronto has had before, and I think that will always
It's always
continue
gonna
to have.
be
It's
there.
never going to change.
I will say this on this matter. I will say this. I think this is a problem. I think getting the U.S. players here to get them to play in a different country, because they honestly view us as foreign. They view us as exotic. They think that it's not, and I don't blame them, because if you go to the States, you see that there's differences in how they live and how we live, right?
Absolutely.
So I get that. But at the same time, I don't buy the narrative that they don't want to play here, because I've seen players tank their value. I've seen them go out and embrace Toronto, and I've seen them once they've been brought here to Toronto, really want to be a part of this team.
They don't want to stay
Look
long
at Serge
term.
Ibaka. Look at Marc Gasol.
International players are different than U.S.-born players, though.
Half the league is international right now. What are you talking about? They're all from Europe and Africa.
I'm saying the international players are different. They will come to Canada, right? But I'm saying if you look at just the American-born superstars, hell,
LeBron is will never come here, Justin.
Let's talk about Giannis right now, right? If Giannis is a free agent, right? Any team can have him, right? Is he going to Toronto or is he going to go to New York, Miami, LA, wherever else, Chicago, right? He's talked about wanting to play for the Bulls before, right? Is he going to pick Toronto? No. Is Luka Doncic, if he's a free agent, going to pick Toronto? No.
Okay, we're going to go into
Is Nikola Jokic going to pick Toronto? No.
It's all about the money off court as well. People say
exactly.
But it's
you make more money off court in the States.
But it's also about how you get recognized. Because for these guys, if they go to America, right, they're gonna be the outsider there. But if they're in Canada, they are now the outside, but still in the NBA. If you think about it, that's how they view this. They're like, we're still absolutely, because they're not a part of the U.S. though. They find themselves to still be still be outside of the U.S. picture, but they're in the NBA. So the lifestyle is different than what you get in the States. So for guys like Giannis, Luka, Embiid, getting them to Toronto, there's no factor of, they have a family out there. They've lived out there before, so they know about taxes. They know about the difference of lifestyles. They don't know that. So for them, this could be even better. And at the same time, too, let's not forget, the biggest factor of Toronto, global melting pot.
But here's
they
the thing.
can get
what it comes down to is this. You said it. Endorsement money, right? Kawhi Leonard could have been the big, and again, it's American.
And he
player.
was.
He could have been. He was the biggest athlete in Canada, bigger than any hockey player, bigger than any other athlete.
You can't compare Kawhi.
He had Canada in his hands. Turned away to go to the States to make more money, and that would be the same. You can make so much more money in the States as an international. It doesn't matter if you're international. Luka Doncic is in the States, has his own Jordan.
Completely disagree with that.
Why?
Insanely,
you can make way more money as endorsements in the U.S. than you can.
Kawhi Leonard was Canada.
I agree. I would agree on that.
He could have made so much more money by just being the face of Canada, which he was. It wasn't just, listen, the States has different states and cities. And within those states, they have two different cities that have different basketball teams. Canada has one team. For you to get marketed here, you would be the guy in the entire country. He chose to go to LA to be behind LeBron. What happened when he went to LA? He had a New Balance commercial. LeBron.
He came to
comes down
LA
to LeBron.
After LeBron.
It's all about LeBron.
What I'm saying is this. He came to LA behind LeBron James, right? He's the one who came with the keychain dance.
Justin,
hold on, let me finish. He came, right? He was in the Terminator commercial. He had all these commercial jobs. Once he went to LA, he went to the Clippers, right? What happened? He started making rap albums. He started being way more viewed because what happens when you go to LA, you go to New York, you go to these big US cities, the chances
he was the king of the North.
And he turned it down to be second fiddle in LA with the Clippers.
Hold on one second. If you're comparing Kawhi Leonard, a player that he doesn't give a flying F about anything outside of his basketball abilities.
That's not true. Kawhi's smart. He knows he can get endorsement money by playing that quiet guy stuff. He's a smart guy.
Toronto. He could have had a dynasty in Toronto. He's smart. Look at what has he done in LA right now? Absolutely nothing. If he was smart, he would have stayed here, won dynasties, built himself a brand to be the guy. He was the number one player 2019 because of Toronto. He was
also healthy too.
So
because of the Raptors staff.
I understand what you're trying to say because I get the dynasty thing. But clearly, the money that was involved with going to LA trumped the dynasty.
I think what happened to him was family, though. Because for Kawhi, it's different.
He wanted to go home as well.
He wanted to go home. It wasn't about anything because he could have gone anywhere. Even with the Spurs, he was like, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to go back to LA. He wanted to be back on home. Mm-hmm. And then he got shipped out to Toronto. And he said, you know what? Let me build up my trade value again in Toronto. He did that. Won the championship. But his thought process never changed. He wanted to be back at home with his family in LA, and he did that. But Kawhi is a different breed. You can't compare him to the likes of any of the superstars today in the NBA or anywhere else because he doesn't care all the things that we think that they care about. He's not like that.
I think another reason why he went to LA is because it's easier to attract stars to LA than it would be in Toronto. It'd be much more difficult for him to do that.
But on the way to LA,
he would like literally in transit was on the phone talking to players.
Yes.
Going to LA, it would have been much more difficult to convince those guys to come to Toronto. I get what you're saying. I think as a player, a purely basketball move, I think the move probably would have been to stay in Toronto.
No, I get that, but what I will say though is, had the league stayed the same the way that it was, right? Had he stayed in Toronto, had he had the same squad around him in Toronto, I think that team would have
gone back to back.
No, not just two-peated. They would have been a dynasty like the Warriors. But he gave that up for something that was going to be that's got nothing out of it right now. He was injured. Clippers have done absolutely nothing the entire years, right? Ever since he's gone there. So for me, it's like, if he wanted to win, the clear answer was Toronto.
Yeah.
The clearest answer ever. Because he could have had not just the one championship, but back-to-back, and maybe even a third back-to-back-to-back, right? But when he went to Clippers, not LA, Clippers. And back then when Kawhi went there, Clippers were also a very young team who had no direction. They had just fluked themselves into a very good year that year because they had young guys who were hungry and wanted to win. But you put Kawhi there, would that have been a factor? Like, oh yeah, Kawhi will be the guy to win them? Absolutely not. They got nothing done. Had he wanted to win, it would have been Toronto. But he wanted to go back home.
Yeah.
And for home, that for him is LA.
From a
chose.
basketball decision, just strictly basketball on the court. Right, I totally agree that he should have stayed in Toronto. It would have been the best decision for him.
But that's what I'm
career-wise
saying.
on
For him, it's different.
But we're talking about outside of basketball and off the court, which a lot of NBA players care about now is what's going on off the court. More the chance to blow up your brand off the court is in the States, in big media markets, rather than Toronto. Toronto's a big market.
No. So do you think Gary Trent would have gone off how he did in Toronto, but had he been anywhere else? Because he was with the Blazers. Nothing ever happened there. He could have gone to Clippers.
But he was
nothing
stuck
ever
behind
happened
Dame
there.
Lillard and CJ McCollum at the time.
This is where I don't agree, though, because I think what we factor in is the U.S. market, and you forget the Canadian market. Canada also has a market, and you have a full country behind one team. Don't forget that. You got a full country behind one team. We could have propped up Kawhi, and we had to be the best player in the NBA. He walked away, whatever, but I think Toronto is still a hotbed, and it will be growing in the future.
Yeah, no, it's true. Listen, the Toronto Raptors are here to stay. They're not going anywhere. Thanks in part to Kawhi
Vancouver.
Leonard for winning a championship here.
Yeah.
What's
Sorry, Vancouver.
Don't worry. Don't even worry.
Get yourself a team.
Don't worry. One day, I'm going to be owning an NBA team in Vancouver, and don't you worry. Don't you worry.
When you dream tonight? When you're falling asleep
Oh,
tonight?
it'd be nice.
Don't worry. Don't you worry. Don't worry.
This was fun, though. This was great.
good.
The thought, Raptors fans just thinking, what if Kawhi stayed? How many more championships? I'm sure Golden State would have had one in between there at some point.
They would have stopped Milwaukee. They probably would have stopped,
So anyway, it didn't
Boston.
happen. Kawhi is in LA. The Raptors are still the Raptors. We don't know what they're going to do, but hopefully they figure it out soon so we can talk about it on this show. We're going to take another break. Noor Zainab's going to hop out. Sean McCormick's going to hop in. We're going to preview the Jays against Seattle, and we'll talk about some slam ball returning to a TV near you. Stay tuned. All right, we're back here on the Homestand Show. Update from the Open. Scottie Scheffler
Yeah, he made that putt a long time ago. Yeah. He's
You,
got a birdie.
you said that already in the show before.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did earlier.
Holy smokes! Well, he's made the cut. I have the anticipation, the pause, and Sean McCormick ruined it.
I'm ready to debate like Sean now on something.
No,
I'm
debates.
fired up right now.
McCormick now joins us. The Toronto Maple Leafs, by the way, remember them? They're doing some
Who's
stuff.
going to be the goalie for opening night?
We don't know yet.
Joseph Wall.
Ilya Samsonov and the Toronto Maple Leafs have begun their arbitration. Hearing. It started at 9 a.m. today. We haven't heard anything, but I think we're supposed to hear something within the next 48 hours. So we don't know what that salary is going to be. It's probably, well, it will be a one-year deal. Initially, according to Elliot Friedman, Ilya Samsonov's team came up with $4.9 million as their number. The Leafs 2.4. So something in between. I'm assuming it's going to be around 3.5. If it's 4.5 or more, then the Toronto Maple Leafs will have an option to decline.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts, Sean McCormick?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't foresee this happening. I was hoping that the club could avoid arbitration, but it makes sense if they're that far apart on the number that this is where it's going. So I don't know. He had a good season last year. I think he was 5th in goals against, 6th in save percentage.
Right.
So he's got a case, right? Like, has he shown that over his career? I mean, he's pretty good. I think his career numbers, I had him here. Sorry, yeah.
Well, his best
like
season
career
last year.
265 goals against and 909 save percentage. Again, that's pretty good. And so he's proven it over time. And the only reason why he's not getting what he wants is because they can't afford to pay him.
Yeah, not a great spot to be in, though, in arbitration, right? Because you're going into this hearing, and the Leafs are trying to make a case why he should be
X
paid
amount
less.
of dollars.
So
and
you're letting him know, hey,
But-
he's good, but he's not that good. And then they might come to a deal.
I mean,
and
when
now
you
he's
look
your
at it,
number
he
one goalie.
played 42 games this year.
Right.
As a number one goalie, like, I know nobody's going to play 65 games anymore, number one goalies. It's more of a platoon system around the league. But I want to see a little bit more than 42 games a season, right? I think that before I'm ready to commit to Samsonov long term, I want to see, can he, carry more of the load? And we're going to, look, we don't know what's going to happen with Matt Murray, right? He's probably not going to be around. So, and Joseph Wall, he's relatively new. Is he going to play, 30 plus games this year? I don't know. Maybe more along the 20 to 25 games, right? I want to see this year if Samsonov can carry them, because he's going to have to be expected to carry the mail a little bit more this year, if he's worth, the risk going long term.
Yeah, so if it goes over the 4.5 and the Leafs have the option to keep or decline, at 4.5, do you keep him for 1 year?
You kind of, otherwise, what else are you going to do, right?
They're $8 million over the cap, so they got to make some moves. So
exactly.
You got
to find a way to get rid of that Matt Murray deal. That's number one.
It feels like you're going to have to flip Murray with a sweetener, which isn't great.
Could be
if they come back over 4.5, I don't expect Samsonov
Probably
to be
not,
Leaf.
right?
No.
But
Really?
Where do you go, right? What's the next step? Who are you looking
But yeah, who else is out there to get?
I don't know if you get anybody.
Just run it back with Wall and Murray?
Probably.
Ooh.
I mean, the second buyout window opens after the decision with Samsonov.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they want to do with the club. Whether they want Samsonov, I assume they'll try to buy out Murray or flip Murray. If they don't get Samsonov, again, Matt Murray has a long list of injury history. So that's the knock on Matt Murray. When Matt Murray is healthy,
Right.
he's just as good as Samsonov. Obviously, a couple years older than Samsonov, more experience. He's got some championship pedigree.
You said it though with injuries though. He's never healthy though. He's
No,
never healthy.
I get it.
No, you got to get Matt.
You got to get rid of. You got to get rid of him. There's no way you bring Matt Murray back in Toronto. There's no way in hell that he can be in between the pipes opening night for the Toronto. There's no chance.
Unless, I don't know. I say no, I'm with you.
There's
Unless
no-
they see something different, they get some medicals back, and it's like, this guy's all right. He's ready to play.
But Brad
half the
Treliving has
season.
no loyalty to Matt Murray.
No, I understand
He
that.
doesn't
But
have
the Leafs are in a difficult position.
You gotta
Right?
buy him
What
out.
do
You gotta
you're going to
get
have
rid
to
of him.
give up maybe a pick, a prospect with Murray to get rid of him, or if I don't know, you can go on LTIR if there's a serious injury.
I think he's healthy now, though. I think he's healthy-ish.
He could be
Probably.
a
mysteriously
gust of
fit.
wind might come and he
But
might
you
go
skate
back
past
on the
him, yeah. I mean, listen, they might have something in Joseph Wall. They have him until 25 at
Yeah.
766,000. He showed in the playoffs. Well, he showed at the end of the season when
he
the
was
games
6-1.
did not really matter. Let's be honest, but he played really well.
Yeah.
And when he came into the playoffs, he looked pretty solid. So, I mean, if they do have something in Wall, then listen, that's a blessing for them.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just don't think. I think you're kind of stuck now because what else are you going to pivot to if you don't
I know.
agree to terms, you're stuck. You're gonna have to accept the Murray thing. I don't think it's gonna be at 4.5. I think it'll be somewhere near 4.2 to maybe 3.75 to 4.2. I don't see they get that high, but look, they're gotta do some cap gymnastics right now. They're in a very tough position right now, and they still have some holes on their team.
Well, they still got to figure out the Nylander thing.
Exactly.
And by all accounts, they're still very far apart.
It's
Matthews is
dominoes, right? So I mean, you can't figure out this other stuff, even though it's only a minuscule 1 to 2 million. I know I say minuscule, but in the cap, that's not a lot.
It's massive in the NHL cap.
It's massive in the cap as far as a percentage, but I mean, as a number, it's not that big. But you have to maneuver like that 1 to 1.5 million for this year doesn't mean a lot, but I mean that's the number that Nylander wants to get to, right? And then you have what you're going to try to figure out with Matthews. Back to Samsonov for just 1 second, like he wants you said 4.9, right?
Yeah, that's what his
Like-
team came. High end, right?
Do you guys know that like 26 other NHL goalies make $4 million or more, right? So if you're not saying he's worth an average, you know what I mean? Jonathan Bernier makes over $4 million. Chris Driedger makes.
So do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think Samsonov and his team are lowballing themselves?
Well, no, I don't. Again,
But it's typical because he's an RFA, right?
Well, this is negotiations. You come high,
And I
the team comes low.
I'm find a middle
so if their
ground.
high is 4.9, they'd be happy
But-
with maybe what 3.5, 4,
I
based
think-
on that.
a lot of the guys you mentioned are were UFAs then, right? And then when goalies hit the open market, they're gonna look what happened in Ottawa, right? With who they signed that big contract this year, Ottawa, the goalie.
Talbot.
No, not Talbot.
Corpusalo?
Corpusalo got a
sorry, yes.
5-year deal, $5 million per or something like that. Like
And he was
that-
a rental last year.
That's just the market with goalies when it comes to free agency, right? You're gonna get overpayments for goalies and UFAs because he's an RFA and he's restricted to that. You know, he's gonna take a little bit lesser, but he's gonna try to make it up on the back end next year when he can become a UFA.
It's
right?
true. Yeah.
That's how it works.
I do think it is a bit strategic, like you're saying, because you ask for just over that 4.5 number that the Leafs can decline. So the arbitrator probably isn't going to offer that. So
True.
they're going to offer around 4, 3.5 to 4 in that range, and the Leafs will be stuck with them. And then, which I mean, again, I'm not upset. I think Samsonov's fine. Like I said, 5th in goals against, 6th in save percentage last year. Our friend Megan Chayka over at Stathlete says that he's like he had the best numbers against shots in the slot last year. So, yeah, I'm happy with Samsonov.
Yeah.
I just don't think the cap situation in Toronto is just messed up.
No, it's not great, and they have to make a decision on this soon. Unless I forget, a guy like Jack Campbell out there is making $5 million. So if you get
Yeah.
Samsonov for less, who's been pretty good, then I think you're getting a deal. There's been some upgrades or some changes in terms of Leafs bench bosses. This is riveting stuff right here. Head coach Sheldon Keefe obviously remains on the power play. The one and only Guy Boucher, formerly head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning, I believe.
And
he's
the
back.
Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
You got a new penalty kill coach on defense. Your boy, Mike Van
That's
Ryn.
your boy, not my boy.
Former Leafs defenseman is be running the defense. Eye in the sky. Manny Malhotra. Face-off extraordinaire. Goaltending Curtis Sanford. Video coaches Sam Kin and Jordy.
I wonder how Manny Malhotra feels. He left the Canucks because he wanted a bigger role, and then he got kicked up to the eye in the sky for the Leafs.
Is that what? Is that a demotion?
I think so.
Is it?
I think it is a little bit.
I don't know.
I
Is
would
it?
think so.
I think it is a little bit. I mean, he had that.
Eye in the
role.
sky sounds pretty important, dude.
It's a fancy title
The
for
guy
not.
who sits up in the bleeders and watches the game.
bleeders?
Is that what that is?
The bleeders. Yeah, I mean, again, he's obviously going to have a lot of input on what he sees on the ice from that level.
Yeah.
You can see who's back checking, who's forward checking. You can see all that stuff because you got the bird's eye view, right? But I like these moves. I think it's a bigger move than you think because a guy like Boucher, who's been a coach, who's made the playoffs, who has a good, decent record, 191 and 186 as a head coach, but made a couple runs to the Eastern Conference Finals. He's somebody who now, like, if Keefe falters just a little bit,
Oh, is this like
you're
a Don Mattingly?
Oh,
Shawnee boy.
if Keefe falters just a little bit, you have somebody with 6 seasons of
Didn't even think
NHL
of
head
that.
coaching experience now.
and more
that can-
playoff success than Sheldon Keefe too.
Well, technically, sure, yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, just saying. It's true. Okay,
yeah.
you got to bring it up. I get it. I didn't think of that. That's, yeah.
And then,
makes sense.
yeah, you've got Mike Van Ryn, who's a defenseman for the Leafs and back in the day, and worked in St. Louis, won a cup there. And he comes in and he'll run your defense, and Boucher will run your power play. Which, I mean, I don't know if you needed to move. I think Malhotra ran the power play last year, I believe. It was ranked second last year, so maybe you didn't need to make that move. But you got to have Boucher behind the bench if that's potentially the long-term plan because Keefe's contract is up at the end of the season too, right?
Yeah.
So you don't know. Maybe they brought in Boucher to just become the next head coach after Keefe leaves, or maybe Keefe's successful this season and they're gonna have a new give him a 2 or 3 year
Does
extension.
Keefe last the full season, or does Boucher come in to steal
What a
the
cliffhanger
job?
for the end of the week.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, the Blue Jays, they're kicking off a series against Seattle in the Pacific Northwest. And listen, they made a trade today. Who I thought his name was Genésis Cabrera. Genésis Cabrera coming from the Seattle St. Louis Cardinals over to the Toronto Blue Jays. He's a reliever, left-handed reliever. Your thoughts on this move by the Jays?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought that they needed a lefty reliever. They only had Tim Meza coming out of the pen as a lefty, and now you've got Genésis Cabrera coming in, and
Great
he had an underperforming season this season, about a 5 ERA. He's been pitching a little better as of late, but again, it just comes down to the Orioles made a move, so now the Jays made a move, and
Arms race begins.
that's what it is. You make a move to get yourself better. We have to do something to match you, and again, now the Orioles are sitting on top of the AL East, and the Jays are 5.5 back, trying to catch up. So now, who makes the next move? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I like the move.
Yeah, a lot of rumors. What's good about the Toronto Blue Jays and Ross Atkins right now is they have a clear idea of what they want to do. He said in his avails, we're looking at a reliever. They got a reliever. They want a right-handed bat. So, based on this first move, you have to think a right-handed bat is probably going to come. Who's that going to be? Nelson Cruz? 43-year-old Nelson Cruz? Andrew McCutchen? Who's coming, Sean? Tell me. I know you're in the know.
I'm not. My sources tell me. My sources.
I know you're talking to Morosi. You're talking to Rosenthal.
Yeah, I wish.
I'm surprised you didn't hop on here with a bow tie.
Oh man, a little Rosenthal bow tie.
That should be a new segment. Whenever we talk Jays and rumors, we'll throw a bow tie on you.
Can it be? It's got to be a clip on though, because I can't tie that up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, me neither, man. I think for my wedding, dude, I had a clip on.
Good. You look sharp though.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
I didn't get an invite.
I'm sorry. We were capped.
Anywho, I'm leaning. Somebody I would love to see Bellinger. I'm not so sure. Again, I do think, and the more I say it, the more I
want to see a big name.
Teoscar. And again, it's an easy solution.
I'm fine with it.
A lot could, again, similar to what you said earlier this week about the Yankees and Angels series. It was a big series for the Angels. This is a big series for the Mariners, who are 5.5 back of the wild card. So, I mean, if they lose coming out of this weekend, they say they get swept. I'm not saying that's going to happen, Justin. Saying they get swept. Now you're seven back, something like that. You have to look at yourself as sellers, right?
Or they could sweep the Jays.
They could definitely sweep the Jays. That's definitely possible.
2.5 back.
Well, the one thing I'm looking forward to.
That's
not quite correct.
That's not quite how it works, but yeah, go on.
Oh, I'm just saying the head-to-head matchup or whatever.
I'm looking forward to this Manoah outing.
Right? Yeah, sure.
What's coming? What's going to happen? What are we going to see?
Gonna get a couple Julio bombs.
Pain.
Are you expecting pain?
I'd have to look into the numbers a little bit deeper.
I'm going to go, if I'm going to do a little projection here, he's going to go
3 innings?
He's going to go 5.
Okay.
He's going to go 5. He's going to give up 2 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts.
Wow, that's good.
That's I would definitely take that. I would definitely take that.
He went 3 in the 3rd inning. That would be an improvement from his last
That's a big outing. It's a really big outing heading into the deadline. He's got that one and another one coming up against the Angels. That's going to determine a lot. According to Ross Atkins, he's encouraged by what he saw. But listen, if he has another blow-up, then listen, it's time to get another starter, which I think they should probably be in the run for. The Jays have 65 games remaining, boys. 25 against the AL East, 7 Baltimore, 6 Tampa, 7-20 against the AL East. But listen, great position, 5.5 back. The O's, top of the East. I mean, who had that? Honestly, the Orioles.
No, I mean they
overtaking the Tampa Bay Rays, who started off this season just absolutely on fire.
Yeah, but I think if you look at the standings there that our producer Ellie put up there, I mean, a lot of people had the Yankees at the top of the division.
That might be one of the biggest stories.
Right. Still early too. We never know.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And I mentioned.
Well, it helps that Judges still has no timetable for his return, right?
Yeah, and we talked on the Parlay Show. So 2015, Jays went into the deadline, 8.5 games back. AL East brought in Tulowitzki and Price, ended up winning the division.
Exactly, they were aggressive.
Yeah, so they need to be
aggressive.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's nobody out there like a Price and a Tulowitzki right now.
Make it happen.
Well, there's a guy named Shohei Ohtani.
You had to throw a Shohei Ohtani.
Listen, don't say
don't make me walk off the side.
Tulowitzki and Price, put them together, they still don't even equal Shohei Ohtani. Imagine that.
No, they wouldn't.
You see that?
They
So
wouldn't.
listen, go all in. Genésis Cabrera, welcome to Toronto. Okay, before we wrap this thing up, we're an hour in. We're just ripping on this show today. Slam Ball is back.
Yes, sir.
Oh, look at this. I love that. MOB is my
it's my
team.
team.
The
Slashers. The Slashers are
MOB
looking
is
good.
my team for the season. Listen, in Canada, unfortunately, the bigwigs at some big networks here decided not to pick up Slam Ball.
Still early, they could.
So listen, there are ways to watch it.
Illegally.
I'm not saying that. You're going to find your own way. There's legal
We're on
ways as
YouTube,
well.
man. It's fine. We can say whatever we want.
On YouTube.
We're on YouTube.
Oh, we're on YouTube.
we
Yeah,
can say whatever we want.
Okay, so you're telling people to do something illegal.
Yeah.
Okay, Justin Pooni is telling the world to do illegal.
Everybody does it anyway. Who cares?
I don't know what you're talking about. We're not talking about Adam 22, Ellie. Who cares about that guy? Are you pumped for Slam Ball?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think again, we talked about on the Parlay Show, something like Slam Ball, especially now, like with the extra technology you have and the athletes that are just churning out can do a lot of incredible things. I'm sure they've thought of new ways to make the game more exciting. Probably more safe too, because jumping on a trampoline into each other, tackling each other, a lot of injuries in the original Slam Ball. But it's a social media type game,
Absolutely.
right?
It's a
Where you
game of
can-
the modern society.
So I think it'll be very, very successful, especially by the standards that they're probably setting for themselves. Obviously, short of the major sports, but also I think we'll do well.
Yeah,
I will watch.
it's a good fun alternative, right? I would keep thinking. I want to see DK Metcalf in this thing.
Never know. He
He
might
can
be.
ball. Imagine him tackling people and dunking on
He's
off of trampolines. He's a freak athlete.
Seahawks winning the division this year.
Did you hear
Book
about?
it.
He was on a podcast talking about his diet.
He doesn't eat a meal. He eats candy.
He says he eats one meal a
Yeah,
day.
that was a couple years ago. He
He
eats
doesn't
properly.
eat a meal. Of course he eats.
No,
a
he
meal.
said he eats one meal a day and the rest of it's
Yeah,
candy.
so
and
he's
stuff
eating
like
a
that.
meal.
Okay, but that was a couple years ago. He's now retracted and said that he does have a dietitian and eats properly.
Okay,
Okay.
dude. I think I might get into a little deep.
Yo, you just relax, man. Just stop pumping yourself up, dude. Just
What do you
relax.
mean, dude?
Just keep on mowing your
You say you
lawn
wanna
every.
play me one-on-one on
Just
Slam
keep
Ball, I gotta
on
get
mowing
ready.
your lawn Saturday morning. Trim the
will.
hedges. Whatever you got to do.
Dude, that's
just
what I'm
keep
actually
on
doing.
doing what you got to do.
Saturday.
Leave the athletics to the big boys and the pros, man. Just keep it. Just stay at home.
Listen,
watch
man.
the TV, bro.
Don't disrespect me like that. First of all. Second of all, Saturday I am cutting my hedges.
Okay,
I
you
will
cut
send
your
a picture
hedges.
to you
then.
guys. Maybe I'll film it and put it on the show.
Please don't.
All right. Well, that's the end of the show. It's been a great Homestand Show today. We covered a lot. An hour and 3 minutes of live YouTube television. How'd you feel?
Feel great.
Okay, he feels great. Well, we'll be back on Monday with more Homestand Show. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow us at Homestand on Twitter. Thanks for watching, everybody.